Welcome to Tuesdays at 2 with Vicki Semander, founder of the Secrets of the Sistership, and Constance Jones, Sistership board member and HMSDC vice president of operations. Each Tuesday at 2 will bring you experts in their field to provide resources and information that will sure to help, inspire, and empower you. This week, Constance will be interviewing Abigail Gonzalez from the SBA. Abigail will be sharing with us resources the SBA has to help business owners navigate this difficult time. And as always, Constance will be providing information on council programs and services that help our business owners and minority business owners reach their business goals. Take it away, Constance.
Thank you, Vicki. And as always, it's a pleasure to host Tuesdays at 2 with you, my sister and my friend. Welcome, audience. Today, we're going to have a special guest from the SBA, Abigail Gonzalez, who's going to share information about the 2 programs that they are offering and additional resources to help our firms get through COVID-19. As we've been mentioning with all of these programs that we've been offering and these Tuesday at 2 conversations, business is unusual right now. And so we're looking at what ways can we bring information to you that's going to be impactful and insightful and is going to allow you to have some type of normalcy in your business as well as the continuity for your firm. So with that, I will allow Abigail to provide some general information about herself, and she'll talk about the resources the SBA has to offer. And please feel free to provide us with questions and we'll be able to ask Abigail. Abigail, take it away.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me today. My name is Abigail Gonzalez. I'm an economic development specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. I work at the Houston District Office. We work with small business owners to get their businesses started, help them grow, or to help them recover from a disaster. So our priority right now is to help the businesses that are being affected by COVID-19. Today I'll be talking about the resources that are available, and I'd like to provide information related to 2 very specific programs. So once we go through with them, I'll also provide contact information so that you can contact our office with questions, our resource partners, and other agencies that are able to assist you during this time. So Vicki, if we can pull up the presentation and we'll go ahead and get started.
So Abigail, as Vicki is up there, she's pulling it up now.
Did it? Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry, technical difficulties.
Abigail, as Vicki is pulling up the presentation, we just want to say we've been on phone calls after phone calls with the SBA talking about these resources. And so we really do appreciate the hard work the SBA is putting forth in order to bring these resources to our businesses.
Thank you for the kind words. It means a lot to hear that. I know a lot of things have been changing rapidly and we've had updates daily. We're working right alongside all of our partners to get this information out to the business owners. So just doing what we can to spread awareness and to help people through this time. So as a reminder, our Houston District Office doesn't create the policy for SBA, doesn't review any of the policy, nor do we disperse funds. We don't process the applications. That is all done at different locations for the SBA. So our main role right now is to promote these resources and make them available to all of the business owners. So I appreciate that, Constance.
So I hope it is showing.
Yes, it is showing now. So we can go ahead and go to the first slide.
Okay.
So our agenda, this presentation will cover non-monetary assistance from the SBA and our resource partners, and then we'll go into financial assistance from the SBA, which is what a lot of us are here to listen to, assistance for small businesses, nonprofits, and then additional resources These slides are available to download on our website, which is sba.gov/tx/Houston. Next slide. So first, non-monetary assistance. Next slide. The SBA has 3 main resource partners that we rely on to provide assistance to small business owners. All 3 of our resource partners offer free and virtual advising sessions. They can help you with the process of applying for these different resources that we're offering. They can also help you with a range of different topics related to your business. So our 3 resource partners include the Gulf Coast Small Business Development Centers, or SBDC, SCORE, and the Women's Business Center. Again, all 3 provide free advising. So if you need help with your application, or if you need to talk about different topics such as cash flow management, social media, questions about importing and exporting, or planning for future disasters, I would highly recommend speaking with them, as well as other partners that we've worked with, including HMSDC, for other help with your business. Next slide. So here's the contact information for our, can we go back 1 slide, please? Here's the contact information for our resource partners. That includes the Small Business Development Center, Houston SCORE, the Women's Business Center, and then we have our information for the SBA Houston District Office. That is our main phone number that you can call with questions. We also, on our website, make it available to you to sign up for email updates. We do provide updates as new information is available, and you can also follow us on Twitter at SBA_Houston for daily updates. Next slide. Now we'll discuss financial assistance from the SBA. Next slide. So first, the CARES Act. We've heard a lot about the stimulus bill. This was signed into law on Friday, March 27th. SBA policy regarding the CARES Act was issued late on April 2nd. I would recommend reading the act for yourself. The SBA cannot, our office cannot offer legal interpretation of the act. We cannot comment on portions of the act that are unrelated to the SBA. And we provide the link here for you to read the act as it relates to SBA. Next slide. The 2 sections of the CARES Act that are specifically relevant to business owners include Section 1102, the Paycheck Protection Program, which I'll discuss today, Section 1110, the Emergency EDIL grants, which I'll also discuss today. Next slide. So first, forbearance of your existing SBA loans. This is important, and if you already have an SBA loan, for microloans, 504 loans, and 7A loans from the SBA, your payments will be deferred for 6 months. I would recommend speaking with your lender about this if you're having any doubts or if you're not sure what is going on with your existing SBA loan. But this is to let you know that those payments will be deferred for 6 months. For existing disaster loans, the SBA will defer existing loan payments through December 31st automatically. So you do not need to contact the SBA to request a deferment if you have an existing disaster loan. For example, if you have a loan from Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Imelda, or another disaster, you do not need to request deferment. It will be automatically deferred through December 31st of 2020. Next slide. Some important items related to the CARES Act for 7A loans. SBA will pay your existing 7A loan if your loan started before February 15th for 6 months. Again, this is for people who had existing SBA loans. So SBA will make the first loan payment within 30 days. If your lender receives a payment from you after March 27th, the lender must let you know that they can either return the payment to you or you can apply the payment to further reduce the balance after the SBA's made their first payment. Again, an important note if you already have SBA loans. Next slide. So the passage of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, which is also known as the CARES Act, gives businesses 2 loan choices. Affected and eligible businesses have a choice between and/or, so you can apply for both or you can choose one. The Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP as we will refer to it, is a loan from an existing SBA lender, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is an EDIL loan as we will often refer to it. And this is a loan directly from the federal government through the SBA. So we'll be discussing both of those today, but keep in mind these are two different programs with different requirements. Next slide. A note about faith-based eligibility. Faith-based organizations, including houses of worship, are now eligible to receive SBA loans under PPP and EDIL programs. So we put in this slide because this is new. We have a couple of updates in the next couple of slides as well. So this is to let you know that faith-based organizations are now eligible. Churches and related institutions qualify for PPP and EDIL loans as long as they meet the requirements of Section 501c3. And remember, an organization must still be small. If in doubt, please check SBA size standards tables, which you can check for any industry to determine if you are considered a small business, as it does depend on the industry that you are in. Next slide. Economic injury disaster loans. Next slide. We'll first discuss this program, and remember this is one of the two programs we'll be discussing. These requirements are different from the PPP, so keep in mind this is only for the economic injury disaster loans, and we will then talk about PPP. So for the economic injury disaster loans, this loan is directly from the SBA. You apply with the SBA. The loan offers up to $2 million with no payments for 12 months. The interest rate for small businesses is 3.75% and 2.75% for nonprofits. There are long-term repayments for up to 30 years. Small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, and private nonprofits are eligible. This loan can be used for fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills affected by the disaster. And you may be approved solely based on your credit score. Next slide. Additional details related to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL. There is no cost to apply, and there is no obligation to take the loan if it is offered. So if you determine between now and the time that you're offered a loan that you no longer need it, you do not have to take it. The amount is determined by SBA based on the information that you provide in your application. An existing SBA or business loan does not make you ineligible. That means if you have an existing SBA loan, you can still apply for this assistance. Personal guarantee requirements. There are none if the loan is under $200,000. If your loan is over $200,000, then a guarantee from all 20% or greater owners is required. For collateral, if the loan is over $25,000, they do require collateral, but the SBA will not decline for lack of collateral, but it does require the pledge of what is available. Also in Texas, your primary residence cannot be used for collateral, so it is not allowed, nor is it required. Next slide. So the CARES Act added an EIDL grant that is an advance on the actual EIDL loan. So until December 31st, 2020, affected small businesses may request up to $10,000. Eligibility is determined by self-certification. That means that you will just check a box, which I will show you momentarily. You will just check a box that says, I want to be considered for the advance of up to $10,000 on the same application for the economic injury disaster loan. It's all one application. So you would just check that box. Payments should occur within 3 days of approval of your application. Repayment of the advance is not required, even if you are subsequently denied for the overall loan. So you'll get the advance and you won't have to pay it back whether your actual loan application is approved, rejected, or in waiting period. The advance may be used for any purpose, including paid employee sick leave if unable to work due to the direct effect of the COVID-19, payroll to retain employees, increased costs to obtain materials unavailable due to interrupted supply chains, rent or mortgage payments, obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. And an important note, before we discuss PPP, you can receive the EIDL loan and a PPP loan as long as the costs being paid with each are different. So no double dipping, and we'll discuss that more throughout the presentation. Next slide. How to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. For the COVID-19 disaster, everything is online. This is different from past disasters like Hurricane Harvey when we had physical locations where you could go and apply and submit documents. Everything will be online for this specific disaster. If you're on iPhone, the website works best with Safari. On Android, it works best with Chrome. On a PC, on a computer, it works best with Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. The website for applying for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan is www.sba.gov/disaster. You can also contact the SBA Disaster Customer Service Center with questions. Also, this is where you would call to find out about the status of your application, because the Houston District Office is not able to, nor do we have the ability to or authority to check the status of your application once you've submitted it. So you do have to get in contact with the SBA Disaster Customer Service Center at this phone number, 1-800-659-2955, email at disastercustomerservice@sba.gov, or for the hearing impaired, 1-800-877-8339. Next slide. So we'll go through an example or a demo of the actual application so that you can get familiar with what it looks like and the questions that will be asked. You'll begin with disclosures and then go into business information, business owner information, additional information, and then a summary. So before you submit your application, you'll see a summary of the information that you've provided on your application before hitting submit. Next slide. So first is the eligible entity verification. You do have to check one of these boxes to verify that you are eligible. So this gives you several different options. You can only select one, so you would select the one that fits your business. If you're unable to choose any of these, you may not be eligible for the assistance. So make sure you read over them carefully and select the one that is the best choice for your specific business. Next slide. Now, this area here, you will review and check all of the following. You must review and check all of them. So if you're unable to check yes on all of the checkboxes below, you will not be eligible for the assistance. So the questions on here are verifying that you are eligible. So that says that you are not engaged in any illegal activity, you aren't behind on your child support obligations, you're not an agricultural enterprise, you do not present live performances of a sexual nature. You do not derive more than 1/3 of gross annual revenue from gambling activities, and you are not in the business of lobbying, and you cannot be a state, local, or municipal government entity and cannot be a member of Congress. So you do have to check all of these boxes to be eligible. Again, if you're not able to check one of these boxes, you may not be eligible for this assistance, and again, we would refer you to the Customer Service Center to verify your eligibility if you're not able to check one of these. Next slide. So the application will first ask for business information. That includes your business name, your employer identification number, or your social security number if you're a sole proprietorship. You will then be asked for information about your organization, including the organization type, gross revenues for the 12 months prior to the date of the disaster, which in this case is January 31st, 2020, and costs of goods sold for the last 12 months prior to the date of the disaster. So you'll be asked other questions here as well. Be careful to review each of them to see if they are relevant to your business and answer each of these questions. Next slide. So section 2 of business information, again, will ask for information related to your business, including when the business was established, current ownership, the business activities offered, detailed business activity, and how many employees you have. That is a very important question, so try to be as accurate as possible. Next slide. The application will then go into owner information, so you will have to fill out this page for each and every owner with 20% or more ownership in the company. So make sure you go through this, answer each of the questions, and then click add additional owner to add each of the owners that need to be included on this section of the application. Next slide. In the additional information section of the application, you'll be asked questions about criminal offenses, if you've been suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government, if you have any current indictments, and other questions related to criminal offenses. Make sure you answer those correctly, and then you'll be asked if anyone assisted you in completing the application, whether you paid a fee or not. That person's information must be included here. However, you can click yes or no to give permission to the SBA to discuss any portion of your application with the person who helped you with the application, so you can make that determination. Next slide. On page 2 of 2, very important, in the additional information section, at the very top, you'll see a checkbox that says, I would like to be considered for an advance of up to $10,000. If you would like to receive the advance, you will check that box and put your bank name, account number, and routing number in the section below. If not, you can leave that area empty if you don't want to be considered for the advance. If you do, make sure you provide the accurate information related to your account number and routing number, because that is where the funds will be dispersed to. At the bottom, you'll see another checkbox that says, I hereby certify under penalty of perjury of law that the information is correct. So make sure that you have provided all of the correct and accurate information before clicking that. You'll see a summary, and then you can click submit. Next slide. So after applying comes the loan processing decision. This is when the information is verified, your credit is checked, and you may be asked for more information. So once you apply, if the SBA determines that they need more documentation, they will contact you directly. The EDIL amount is determined at this point, and a loan officer will contact you to make recommendations. This decision can take up to 4 weeks, depending on how quickly SBA is processing these applications. Finally, if you're approved for the loan goes into closing and the funds are dispersed. That is when you will sign and submit loan documents. The initial disbursement is, this information has not been updated, but the initial disbursement will be within 5 days, and that doesn't include the advance. The case manager assigned will help you with the rest of the process. Next slide. Some important final notes about the EDIL application before we move on to PPP. If more funds are needed after you've been offered a loan, you can submit supporting documents and request an increase. If fewer funds are needed, you can request a reduction. And a reminder, if you decide that you don't want the loan, you can always, there is no obligation to take it once it's been offered. If your application is denied, you get 6 months to provide a written reconsideration request with new and supplemental information. If denied a second time, you get an additional 30 days to appeal the decision. So please remember to complete and submit everything that is required on the application. Next slide. So now we will discuss the payroll protection program. Again, please remember this is a separate program from the one we just discussed, which was the economic injury disaster loan. That is directly from the SBA. The payroll protection program is from our lenders, so you cannot apply through the SBA. You will apply through an SBA lender. So the PPP program is intended to help small businesses with payroll and other operating expenses. The SBA will forgive the portion of the loan proceeds that are used to cover the first 8 weeks of payroll costs, rent, utilities, and mortgage interests. More details are available here at our link, and I will be discussing the program more as well. Next slide. So PPP eligibility. Small businesses affected by COVID-19 with less than 500 employees are eligible, and that includes sole proprietorships, independent contractors, self-employed persons, private nonprofits, and 501c19 veteran organizations. Certain businesses may have more than 500 employees if they meet the SBA size standards for those industries. So make sure to visit our size standards page. If you have more than 500 employees, you may still be eligible, but it does depend on the industry. Hospitality and food industry businesses with more than one location, an important note for you. Restaurants could be eligible at the store and location level if store employs less than 500 workers. So if you have fewer than 500 workers at each location, you could be eligible at the location level. Next slide. Loan details and forgiveness. The PPP loan has a maturity of 2 years with an interest rate of 1%. Payments are deferred for 6 months. There is no collateral or personal guarantees required. The government nor lenders will charge small businesses any fees. The forgiveness of the PPP loan is based on employer maintaining or quickly rehiring employees and maintaining salary levels. The amount that is forgiven is reduced if full-time headcount declines or if salaries and wages decrease. The amount of the PPP loan is fully forgiven if the funds are used for payroll costs, interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities. At least 75% of the forgiven amount must have been used for payroll. Next slide. How to apply for PPP. Again, a reminder, you have to apply for PPP through a lender. Although you can download the application online and fill it out, you can't submit it online. You do have to submit through a lender. This is different from our EDIL loan process. So you can apply through an existing SBA lender. We have approximately 200 in the Houston district, and other lenders will be added as necessary. Lenders began processing applications as of April 3rd. Check with your existing lender, or you can visit our website, sba.gov/tx/Houston. If you scroll down, you will see coronavirus resources, and you'll see a list of SBA lenders. Now, an important note, that list contains all of our SBA lenders. That does not necessarily mean that they are participating in PPP. However, the list does indicate if they are accepting new clients, so an important note that we've been seeing a lot of lately. So make sure to view the list if you are having trouble finding a bank. You do not have to use your existing lender. You do not have to use your existing bank if you're unable to apply through them. So you can view the list to select a different bank to apply through. Next slide. So here is a sample of the PPP application. Again, you can find this online, you can download it, and you can fill it out, but you cannot submit it to the SBA directly. The lender will submit it for you. So this application will ask you questions about your specific business, including average monthly payroll times 2.5 plus EIDL. So if you see that question there, it is only if you have already received your EDIL loan. If you have not, then there is no number that you will need to put there, since you do not know the amount of the loan if you are going to receive one. And then you will put the number of your employees and the purpose of your loan. Next slide. Again, this will ask for a list of owners of 20% or more. Make sure you attach this information for every owner and attach a separate sheet if you have more than the space allows. Below, you will be asked specific questions, which you will answer with yes or no. Next slide. Continuing with the application, you will read these questions carefully, answer yes or no, and you will initial on 5 and 6 to confirm your responses. Next slide. Continuing with the PPP application, you will then read certifications and authorizations. So you do make these are self-certifications, so you are certifying that the information is correct. Next slide. So these are the certifications that you will have to initial to verify that they are correct, and then you will sign and date. Next slide. You will sign and date the application and submit it to your lender. So the documents needed for PPP. Borrowers must submit documentation to establish eligibility, such as payroll processor records, payroll tax filings, or if you're a sole proprietorship, Form 1099 or income and expenses. If you do not have that documentation, you must provide other supporting documents, such as bank records, that are sufficient to demonstrate the qualifying payroll amount. Again, PPP focuses on payroll, so you do have to demonstrate the payroll amounts that you have been paying. So again, an example here is using bank records to show that amount. Next slide. Non-SBA additional information. Here we've listed some resources that we've heard about that are not related to the SBA, but we wanted to let you all know about them. I would recommend visiting with your existing bank to see what non-SBA programs they have that may be able to help you. We've heard of programs from People Fund and Lift Fund that are helping people during this time. I would also recommend doing research about other available resources. The Texas Restaurant Association grant program has a grant available for restaurants that have been affected. You would apply on their website. The Galveston Economic Development Association has a short-term loan program, and other nonprofit organizations are offering assistance. So we'll be sure to update this as we hear of other resources that are available. Next slide. So again, we have contact information here for our resource partners and for SBA here in Houston, where you can call us, sign up for email updates, or follow us on Twitter. Next slide. A quick note on small business scams and frauds. We have seen some of this already, so be sure to be on the lookout for any suspicious activity. So remember that the presence of an SBA loan on a web page or correspondence does not guarantee that the information is from the SBA. If someone contacts you promising to get an approval of your loan or promising to get you a quick response, and they're requiring a payment, suspect fraud. There is no payment. There is no way to do that. You do not have to pay to apply, so suspect fraud. After you apply, verify that all the correspondence you receive has the application number that is on your actual application. So at the very end of your application, you'll receive your application number. Make sure anything you receive is accurate with that number. Any email communication from the SBA will end with .gov. So make sure you're receiving emails from a .gov address. SBA limits the fees a broker can charge you, and you can report any suspected fraud to the Office of the Inspector General hotline or online at this website to report any suspected fraud. Next slide. Most common questions. So we're going to go through a couple of slides of FAQs because we've gotten a lot of these questions. So that we can go ahead and get these out of the way. You can visit our website again under coronavirus resources for a copy of this presentation and for a copy of the list of lenders in the Houston district. On column 5 of that list, it will indicate whether that bank is accepting new clients. So common questions: what banks are offering PPP loans? Many of the SBA lenders in Houston have already started offering these loans. Again, please refer to the list to see which lenders are approved by the SBA, and then you can contact them to verify that they are participating and whether they are accepting new clients. Can I check the status of my application online? Yes, but that function is not currently available on the website, so they are working on updating that. Until then, you will have to email or call the disaster customer service line, which is on here it says 24/7, but they've just let us know that they are not available 24/7 at this point. They are available 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and they're also available on the weekends until 5 p.m. The Houston District Office, again, is not able to check the status of an application, so we do have to refer you to the Customer Service Center if you have questions about your specific application. Are EDIL loans forgiven? The loan itself is not, but the advance on the loan is a grant, so it is forgiven, but the rest of the loan still has to be paid back. Next question, next slide. Can I apply for both EDIL and PPP? Yes, however, you cannot duplicate costs, so you cannot use them for the same thing. Which loan should I apply for, EDIL or PPP? Each business is different. Each business has its different needs, so we would refer you to our network of local free resources that can help you make that determination based on what is best for your specific business. I've already submitted my EDIL application. Can I submit for the PPP loan? Yes, again, just don't duplicate costs included in the EDIL loan. If your payroll was included on the EDIL application, you must refinance the EDIL into the PPP. So if you are applying for PPP, just be sure to let your lender know that you've already applied for the EDIL loan so they can give you further directions. I have already submitted my EDIL application but didn't get the advance. First, the advance option was only added after March 30th. So if you applied for the EDIL loan before March 30th, you may not have seen that option. So you do have to go back and submit a new application. However, that does not impact the status or slow your existing application. It will just update it to show that to reflect that you would like to be considered for the advance. So that is for anyone who applied before March 30th because the advance was not an option at that time. Next slide. For questions about your specific situation, for the EDIL loan, again, you do need to contact the SBA Disaster Customer Service Center for questions related to an EDIL application. For the PPP loan, you need to contact the SBA lender of your choice. Again, you can visit our lender list on our website to view the lenders for the SBA, including those receiving new clients. And lastly, one of our resource partners for general guidance, They can help you through the process of applying for the EDIL application, for the EDIL loan, or other topics related to your business. So SBDC, SCORE, and the Women's Business Center offer free and virtual advising sessions for business owners. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Abigail, for the information. That was quite a bit of information that you shared, and it also provided some great detail that could help our businesses. I'm glad that you did see the information is available on their website. So if you have any questions about what you heard today, you can download the presentation. What if, one of the questions we did receive, Abigail, is what if you take the EDIL advance but not the EDIL loan? Is the advance still a grant?
Yes, from the information we've been given, that is still a grant, whether you are approved, rejected, or don't take the loan.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing your insight and information. This was, again, this was a great presentation, and it's always good to hear information from the source so we know facts from fiction. And so we thank you for taking out the time, Abigail. We, as the council, have been participating on, I think we are on call number 9 with the SBA and its resource partners. And so we know that you guys are diligently there. On one of the previous calls that we heard, one of the statements was made was that if you applied for an EDIL loan, to give it at least 2 or 3 weeks in order to call for follow-up. But they were saying that they were getting so many calls for follow-up like the next day and the week later that only slows down their opportunity to continue working through that. So I know this is a crunch for everybody, but we really do appreciate all that you're doing on behalf of small businesses everywhere to kind of help the economy get back working.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the both of you getting this message out and informing the business owners of what is available. Again, we're all working together to provide information as quickly and efficiently as we can during this very crazy time.
Absolutely. Next week, we're going to continue these conversations, and we're going to bring Tiffany Williams with Twice Media Productions, and she's going to share with you the importance of video and using updated technology in order to be able to still communicate with your clients, marketing, and get your message out. So stay tuned next week for Tuesdays at 2 with my co-host, Vicki Semander, from the Secrets of the Sistership and Constance Jones, HMSDC. Thank you and have a great evening.